You have been making that case for the federal deployment of resources, for the sort of mutually supportive deployment of resources to the places that most need them, understanding that not everybody's going to hit their apex at the same time. Has that resonated at all with the federal government? I know that you've got a mixed relationship with the Trump administration right now, and they have been able to talk to you about some things, and you've been critical with them and others. But has that point that you've been making come home to them at all? I don't see any other way that other states and other cities that are going to be approaching what New York is in right now, I don't see any other way that the country is going to deal with those rolling apexes that you're describing.
Well, you're right. First, to say I have a mixed relationship with the president is to be very kind. There's probably been no governor in the country who has been more critical, and there's probably no governor in the country who he has been more aggressive towards with his tweets. But on this one, the president and I have said, look, this is not about politics. If you help New York State, I will say be gracious and thank you and be in partnership. And if you don't help New York State, then I'll say that. You're right. The states can't organize this rolling deployment on their own. It would have to be federally organized. But I don't see how you do it otherwise. See, otherwise you're saying to every state, every locality, you must be prepared on your own to handle this. The federal government will give you some back support, but it's up to you. It's not going to work that way, or it could work better the other way. Let's say it that way, Rachel, which is let the federal government say, look, this is like a slow-moving hurricane across the country, and we know the track that it's going to take. Let's go to New York, board it up, do what we have to do. We all go to New York, and then we all go to Detroit, and then we all go to the next place. I think that's the only way you do it. Where we are now, 50 states all trying to buy the same equipment from China, and then the federal government comes in with FEMA, which is trying to purchase the same equipment. This is not the way to do it. I mean, obviously, if you could design a system, nobody would design a system where you say to the states, okay, you're on your own, you go buy equipment, all shopping the same manufacturers in China. You know, emergency management rule 101 is leave it to the local governments, right? Local government knows best. That's emergency management rule 101. I was in the Clinton administration as the HUD secretary, as you know, and I did emergency management work for 8 years. Rule 1 is leave it to the localities. Rule 2 is if the localities can't handle it, then the federal government steps in. Remember what happened with President Bush with Hurricane Katrina. He blamed the mayor. Why? Because that was Rule 1. The mayor didn't know how to handle it, and it's the mayor's fault. Yeah, but there was Rule 2, which is if it's beyond the capacity of the local government, then the federal government should step in. No state is equipped to handle this situation. State emergency management does hurricanes, floods of moderate dimension. If they're really big, the federal government comes in. That's what FEMA is all about. States don't do public health emergencies. There is no capacity in my state health system that runs at 50,000 beds to create and maintain an additional 50,000 beds just in case once every 20 years there's a pandemic. You know, it doesn't work that way. But that's where we are now. Hindsight is 20/20. But the states are responsible for their own purchasing, and frankly, there's nothing left to buy anymore anyway. I bought 17,000 ventilators, ordered 17,000 ventilators from China. But I think what's happening is when somebody else outbids you, you know, your order just is gone. I haven't even received 1,000. So that horse is out of the barn. The deployment we could still do, and I think Americans would support that.